So I like this bit. I like bits of it. I find it the inevitability of the fact that I'm going to have got it wrong and I'm going to have to go and do it all again in a minute. In a couple of weeks.
We want the harness to be in the middle, and so these three bars need to be equidistant, so that, and because we put different configurations of truss on each line, all the triangles are in different places, so you can't actually move that end opposite that end completely. I don't know why we didn't put exactly symmetrical truss. I think we didn't realise it would be a problem. I think we're realising, oh, okay, first day of new setup, it's going to be a hell of a lot easier if all of the triangulations are the same when you put your things across. But, you know, lesson learned. That's why you do this a day before anyone arrives.
Sorry.
The show is about aging, essentially, and change, and how we are many people throughout our lives, and how we constantly change. Before we've come into the rehearsal room, so before this bit of creation, there's an initial part of creation, which Alex and I have done, where we have thought of what are the pieces of equipment that we would like to use, that we think would show this dynamic and be useful with this dynamic. There's a whole raft of things that we call daydreaming, which is basically different prompts to get us just to look at it and dream up what we could try and then try it. Or there are ways in which you're improvisational, so you put on a piece of music and give a prompt, or there are games, but quite just open ways to generate material. When we have something that piques our interest, we record it, either we film it or we draw it on little pieces of paper, and then we look at those pieces of paper and shuffle orders and try and create sequences.
One of the biggest challenges was this feeling of working in the world of circus and knowing that circus people will come and watch it, and knowing that we will be assessed within the context of circus. And so there being an expectation of some level of skill, like some level of circus ability. And what we were really interested in was looking at people and the differences between the different bodies and the different abilities when you put someone that has a certain amount of skill and someone that hasn't any of that but has an ability.
Once we have gone through this process of actually putting the choreography together, then we will come back to it and see, yeah, it's really clear there's a relationship dynamic there. We can play that now in different ways. So then it becomes more into performance directing to really pull out a dynamic that we think is there. It's an interesting process because it's partly quite dry and planned, as like put that move and then that move and that move. And then partly reflective, like I think this is about smothering and about controlling our children. And then there's another part which is just when you're in the room and you're saying, everyone I think should go down that side of the room at this bit and Faith should be upstage right, where both of those bits of planning and also having considered the emotion of it and also something intangible, just like playing space, feed into each other.
It's more life that makes it hard. It's having a kid and the kind of rigors of touring and being able to give yourself less time. Because it takes time, it takes more and more time to look after yourself and to keep yourself in good shape and keeping your body working to the level that you need it to work to. But that takes so much time, and that's what we have less and less of. And that's why I think it's hard. I think if I was just the age that I am, with no responsibilities, no commitments, it would be much easier. Because people were saying to us, like, well, you know, how long can you keep doing this for? And we were still feeling, like, it's happened interestingly over the course of making this, that we have started to feel older, but we're still doing it.
I had a real moment when they were seeing what I could do on the Jacob's Ladder. And it's interesting because I'd never done anything like that before, so my mind, you know, I have got no reference. So I was like, yeah, this is fine. I don't really suffer from vertigo. But then we were sort of experimenting and doing stuff, and I was upside down, inside out. And then when we finished, and Alex, I was sitting right at the top, and I said, oh, come down, just go into a hawk and a hike and blah, blah, blah. And I went, no. No, I'm not doing anything. I just sat out there, I was like, you just go, leave me, I might jump. And then Faith went, oh, for goodness sake. And I was like, I just actually just could not move. I was absolutely sort of like frozen. And I just said I couldn't do anything. I was just not going to. And then poor Alex had to sort of figure a way of winching me down. But apparently, it's Charlotte very kindly said, "Oh no, that's what happens. There's so much adrenaline going through my body to do all of that stuff that eventually I just had nothing left." You know, so I just didn't have anything left to hold the weight of my body to do anything. And I was just like, no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm over this, guys, absolutely over it. You're going to have to get a fire engineer to get me down.
So Phil Supple, the lighting designer, came in. He was in our production meetings as we went through the process. Every couple of months we'd have a production meeting with the creative team to say, like, this is how it's developing. This is the kind of world that we think we're in. And Phil would say, I've got these ideas. And so it was Phil, the lighting designer, Tina Beaker, costume designer, and kind of aesthetic designer, and they would work very closely together. And then this idea of the aesthetic of the whole show being very much about memory and about placing yourself in different points in time. But all the reflective floor, the shiny floor, and the perspex mirrors in the background, they give the audience more to focus on than just these individual points of light which we become on that big stage, like points of coloured light, which feels like it echoes the ideas of the piece a lot better as well, more reflection and memory.
It's a massively different dynamic working with a 13-year-old and not so much Lee, who's 60, that's kind of the same. But yeah, working with a 13-year-old is really different and interesting. And I realised like sort of the directorial thing of knowing how to, not necessarily manipulate the room, but knowing how to set up the room to create the conditions for what you want to happen. The rules are completely different. So I'm having to learn, okay, how do I... And it may not necessarily be a thing about age, it may be a thing about personality. So it may be that Faith at any age needs a different set of tools. Like, I think every time the job of the director is partly to sort of see the vision and guide the piece and have the ideas, but it's also about figuring out the people and what they need and how to create the correct conditions for them to be happy and thrive. And I very much believe as a director that it's about creating the conditions for someone to feel secure and happy and excited. I hope I'm not, I try not to be a sort of bullish director, because I just don't think it works. I think it just makes people unhappy. And then, so I'm with this one, I'm really having to go, oh, what is it you need? And it's very different to what other people have needed, which may be nothing to do with age. So I'm learning a lot. I'm still learning that. I still haven't quite got that, but I'm still learning that. Yes. What else have I learned? I'm having to learn to trust, but I do that every time. I think pretty much every time we make a piece, I have to relearn the same thing. So I'm just relearning the same thing, and then I go, I learned that last time. Oh, now I've got to learn it again. Oh.
That's great. That's it. That's it. Thank you for
Cool.
that question.
Thanks, man.
Lee, are you okay? I think she's in hysterics.
Oh, it'd be great.
And then you having to come on and just be like, put him down. It's like couch and a little proper women's squat.
I was just like, yeah, your life's always going to be really unconventional. You're just really eccentric.
It's fine. It's just had momentum.
Sorry.